Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers! Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Jacob Weil.
And also joining us tonight is a very special guest.
Hello, everyone. This is Eli from Little Blue Productions.
All right, happy to have you on board, Eli. Very excited about the stream. Now, guys, we just passed the 30-year anniversary of the landmark, one of the best motion pictures of all time, one of the most inspirational biological fathers in all of Disney. But we're not here to talk about that movie because we've already done a retrospective on it. We're here to talk about The Lion King 1.5, which just so happens to have the 20th anniversary. Not this month, but, this year. So we figure we'll just tie it into The Lion King's 30th and just call it a day. All right. Okay, Dragon, I'm going to throw it to you first, sir, and then I assume you'll have some background for us once we go kind of roundtable and get our initial kind of thesis thoughts out there. But, Dragon, I know this is a personal favorite of yours, so why don't you kind of wax poetic about it for a minute?
Well, yeah, so I have a great fondness for Lion King 1.5. It's certainly one of the few successful Disney direct-to-video sequels, and I think what helps that is the fact that it's not per se, it's not really technically a sequel. It's a midquel, which is so unique compared to okay, we're going to force a story where it's like, well, no, there's nothing wrong with the story, but let's kind of re-examine the story. Let's just see what was going on. All the other parts were going on. So it was a very fun. It really necessitated the direct-to-video aspect. It wasn't like. This isn't like a theatrical event. It's a very supplemental movie in a really fun way. And this was coming out when Lion King was celebrating 10 years, and they wanted to hey, it's been 10 years. We're gonna re-release the movie, and what else are we gonna do? Well, let's still talk about the first movie, but let's cash in on Timon and Pumbaa in a fun way because they were always the breakout characters of the franchise.
So basically, what we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I got a lot of nostalgia for it, especially the DVD release with the there's the virtual tour. I love the Timon and Pumbaa virtual safari tours.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Absolutely.
So that was always a huge bit of nostalgia for this one as well. And again, we kind of saw it with the first one. It was like a riverboat ride. This one was very much like we've built a theme park attraction in the middle of that replicates Pride Rock and everything in the Savannah, in the Serengeti.
Well, in the first one, there actually was the riverboat and the Jeep.
Yep.
Well, you're right. Yeah, there were options.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But still, just the fact that we had this condensed building setting on it. So the one point being, there's a lot of nostalgia for something very immersive about it, and I think that's complemented by the fact this movie in itself is very, very much in relationship to the audience's viewing experience and appreciation for Lion King. So in that respect, 1.5's always been kind of a nice celebration of the Lion King. It's like we know how the story goes, so we're always going to watch the movie again, but we have Timon and Pumbaa by our sides while we're doing it.
With a healthy dosage of both Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead thrown in.
Indeed.
So it's a lot of love for this one. I don't know if it's maybe I don't know. I think in the tomes of the great Disney direct-to-video sequel, I don't think anything's going to beat King of Thieves, but this is in the top 5. It's up there. It's great.
All right, I'll throw it to Eli. What's your personal history with this movie and overall feelings on it, really quick?
Well, I think pretty much like what Dragon said, literally took the words out of my mouth, because Lion King 1.5 also is, it was one of those direct-to-DVD Disney sequels that I watched a lot. I have so many fond memories of watching this, and also because, like what Dragon mentioned, just the memories of playing the activities and all the stuff on the 2 discs of I mean, not just The Lion King, but other Disney films and so on, including Pixar. And yeah, because with the virtual safari, oh yeah, I mean, I had a blast playing those, and then like playing them on say Lion King 1.5 and Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and yeah. So I mean, and obviously like I think for every like 2000s like babies, like they grew up watching The Lion King, and when it came up to its 10th anniversary, and we had The Lion King 1.5, yeah, and yeah, and that's the thing, because like this being taken straight from Hamlet because of two characters and so on, and yeah, just so many fond memories of when watching this and with my parents, and fantastic animation, and with the returning cast of Nathan Lane, Ernie Sabella, Matthew Broderick, and just like the fourth wall breaking, because it's actually like it's a nod to I read this, it's a nod to Mystery Science Theater. So, but yeah, just overall, I love The Lion King 1.5. Definitely one of my top favorite Disney direct to DVD sequels, and so on.
All right, Jacob, what do you got? What are your thoughts?
Again, I'm not to quote Eli again, but you could have pretty much said all the stuff I did. Like, I'm obviously a huge fan of The Lion King itself. It's probably one of my favorite animated movies ever. To the point where I can pretty much recite the entire film basically from memory.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched the film so much I can pretty much I even played a game myself during watching the remake. I was like basically playing along how close it would be to the original movie. That's how familiar I was with the original movie. So
oh yeah,
and so and even its extensions, and obviously the series, the Timon and Pumbaa series, and Simba's Pride itself. So yeah, I'm pretty good on this. So it's kind of so basically seeing the movie from a different perspective, and this gets expanding on Timon and Pumbaa, was always a smart move and and really appealing to me. I probably would say personally, this probably is my personal favorite of the direct to video sequels, or in between quels, whatever you want to call them. I know it's technically the term is a mid-quel, but it's referred to that jokingly in one of the trailers for this movie.
Huh.
Like one of the teasers for the movie is called like Pumbaa calls an in-between quill kind of thing.
yeah.
So technically the proper term would be a mid-quill, but I digress. So yeah, it's it is probably my personal favorite of the direct-to-video sequels. That's obviously a good story focusing on Timon and Pumbaa's friendship, and a lot of other things around it as well. Like, has some catchy tunes, and actually some pretty good animation as far as the direct-to-video stuff goes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's I'm a pretty big fan of this one.
All right. Yeah, I'm a little bit, I'm kind of like the jaded old man of the group. So by the time this came out, I was already like a teenager. I believe I was right in the Riley Anderson and Inside Out 2 camp. I was 13 years old when this thing came out. So I got to tell you guys, I was put off by the marketing of this movie in the same way, ironically enough, that I was put off by the marketing of another movie that I very much loved. It's so dear to me that it's the only tattoo that I have, Lilo and Stitch. Initially, I was kind of a snob about the Lilo and Stitch marketing. I was like, what is this blue alien dude going around like ruining these classic Disney moments? And little did I know just how like attached to that little alien dude I would become. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, I was a little bit jaded going into this. The one gag in this movie I really don't like still is just like the specifically messing with the Pride Rock scene, the Circle of Life scene with the fart joke. That's honestly the one time I think this movie kind of takes a step too far as like kind of messing with the canon of the original. But other than that, I think this movie is just razor sharp. Honestly, I feel like I appreciate it now more as an adult because I understand more of the kind of the Mystery Science Theater elements of it, or just kind of like riff, just the general idea of like riffing a movie to begin with. And honestly, Jacob, what you said is, I think it's really the standout thing of this movie is it's maybe not like to the level of Walt Disney Animation Studios, but it's definitely to the level of the theatrically released Disney Toon Studios productions. So stuff like Return to Neverland or
The DuckTales movie?
The Jungle Book 2. Yeah. Like this could have gone out in theaters if they wanted to, if they wanted it to. They wouldn't have put it under Walt Disney Animation Studios, but it could have been released in theaters. I think it looks damn good, and there are some moments in particular that just scratched a memory nerve with me, like stuff that I have legit not thought about in the 20 years since I've watched it. So very excited to get into it with y'all. Jacob, do we have any comments you want to shout out?
I mean, we have actually quite some comments. Is like Claude earlier. We have Claude in the comments. Like Lion King adds an extra layer to the original Lion King.
Indeed.
Like Z&K is like the Safari one was the best of them all.
Nice to see you, Z&K, but yeah, I also I third you guys on the or fourth you guys on the Safari thing. The Safari thing is like one of the all-time great Disney DVD bonus features. It's iconic. Anyways.
Yes, but for the longest time I thought Billy Crystal did Pumbaa's voice.
What?
Oh God. That's funny.
Apparently Z&K wants you guys to do a list of the DTV sequels.
Z&K, it's funny you mentioned that. August, my friend. Like literally, like it's in the works. It's in the works. Yeah. So I promise you, this time it is coming. I am actually in the process of rewatching some of them. All right. Thanks for asking that, Z&K. Okay.
Like the hyena song is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
I also like that we get teenage Simba in this.
Yeah.
And Z&K likes the announcement of the DTV sequel-thon.
It's coming. It'll be called the Great Disney Toon Ranking Podcast. Probably going to do around 35 titles in total. It's going to be a curated list. We're not going to cover everything. We're not going to cover like every single Winnie the Pooh movie or anything like that. We're not going to cover the Tinkerbell films. But yeah, it should be pretty comprehensive as far as the stuff that people actually grow up with and were iconic. So looking forward to that one. Anyways.
All right.
Okay. So let's jump right into it then, gentlemen. Dragon, I believe you might have some background. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. Regale us, sir, by all means.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you probably guessed, 94, Lion King, huge success. Shocker, I know. But yeah.
Well, to be fair, it was a shocker to everyone that worked for the studio.
They weren't sure about. They weren't sure about it at first, especially Jeffrey Katzenberg, because they were really eyeing on Pocahontas.
Well, you know what they say about hindsight.
Yeah.
But go on, Dragon.
Yeah. Anyway, led to a lot of franchising, like I think most nostalgically the Timon and Pumbaa show.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And beyond that, it led to the, then we got like the Disney direct-to-video sequels, starting with Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Yeah, which is still good in its own right.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch it. I'm looking forward to a rewatch on that one.
So Tom Schumacher, one of the powers that be at the House of Mouse, let's call it. Good old Tom Schumacher. He pitched retelling Lion King from Timon and Pumbaa's POV. That essentially was his pitch, and it seems, if I have it right, unlike Lion King 2, this one actually had the some of the original talent from the original film, like one of the directors and one of the writers consulting on the film, which I think helped. You got Roger Allers and Irene Mecci, I think is her name. So yeah, they basically they facilitated the whole framing device of the movie, which was the Mystery Science Theater 3000 framing device. So that was Allers. Anyway, so presumably, it's kind of a fun runner if you look at all three Lion King movies. I don't know if this was also Allers or not, but it was presumably it's the continuation. If you notice, each Lion King film is a different Shakespeare play.
Yep.
you have Hamlet, we have Romeo and Juliet, and in this case, we have Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
But just to be fair, Tom Stopper.
I know it's Tom Stopper, but it's set in Hamlet. Okay, so de facto, it is a Shakespeare play.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at, Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was directed by Bradley Raymond, who did some of the other direct-to-video stuff, such as Hunchback Notre Dame 2. And
this is a massive step up from Matt. Oh, man.
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
Something nicer that he did. He did the Donald Duck short in Mickey's Once Upon Christmas, which is a really delightful little Christmas movie.
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Basically, it was kind of Groundhog Day around the holidays.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah. So, Disney 2
I think that was my introduction to the concept of a time loop.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Either that or maybe a Fairly Odd Parents episode.
Maybe.
Anyways.
Anyway, so Disney Toon Animation Studios did this. They basically it was kind of an international bunch. They kind of pulled talent from all across. I believe there's Australian, there was might have been some UK, but I know there's Australia was there, France was there. There's a lot of like kind of international kind of talent from all around the globe working at the studio, and they pretty much did, for all intents and purposes, they did all the direct-to-video Disney sequels. So this is yet another entry in the stuff that they did. And again, like just kind of nostalgically, when they did the home video release, we had stuff like the virtual tour with Timon and Pumbaa, which had been kind of big when they did the 10th anniversary release. Again, this whole project very likely pushed for the 10th anniversary release, being coming out 10 years since the original Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
And do you guys remember the Grazing in the Grass music video by Raven Simone?
I don't remember the music video.
I remember.
I think so. Yes, I think I do remember that vaguely.
Yeah.
Again, it's yet another thing in this movie that it's like wedged in like a weird memory core of my mind that I haven't had access to in decades, and this movie has unleashed it.
Yeah, for me, I remember listening to the song like during the end credits and the soundtrack, and then I saw the music video on disc 2.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it. That was my first introduction to that song, and then years later, I mean, I had this really great, this other great reintroduction to it on Better Call Saul with the opening of Talk from from Better Call Saul. It's always that funny connective tissue. Like, never in a million years would you imagine I'm watching. Here I am watching Better Call Saul and Mike's very bittersweet backstory, and I'll be making the connection to Lion King 1.5.
Oh God! All right.
Which fun connective tissue. And we're gonna move on. One deepest cut. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jonathan Banks in real life is friends with Nancy Kavner.
Huh.
Julie Kavner. Sorry, with Julie Kavner.
Thank you for that correction.
Yep. With,
I
Julie.
was like, wait, who's Nancy?
Yeah. But so a little fun fact there, and she also was a watcher of Better Call Saul, so it's all relative.
Nice.
All right.
So jumping into the movie, I honestly think Julie Kavner might be a good place to start, unless you just want to dive right into Diggah Tunnah, which is I'm fucking totally happy to do, because holy crap, that movie unleashed a memory core in me like no other. Like, basically how I describe Diggah Tunnah and my experience with like rewatching it is like, essentially think of like, what if Riley Anderson thought of triple deck gum like 20 years after she had last got it out of her head. Like, that's my experience with freaking Diggah Tunnah. It's iconic, but I totally forgot about it.
I haven't listened to this. I haven't watched this movie in years, but the moment I started, I was like, I knew all the words almost instantly.
Yeah. Same.
Me too.
Oh my God, it's such an earworm.
The hyena comes.
Quick, hyena come.
Clear.
Dragon, thoughts on Diggah Tunnah?
I mean, yeah, look, it's catchy as all get, and it kind of gives you an idea, like the meerkats. They're a lot in life, and this is a fun idea. It's the idea that the meerkats really got the crap end of the circle of life. We have, I think, one of my favorite jokes rewatching the movie is Uncle Max, saying, well, like Timon's like, well, yeah, but lions eat the grass, and then we take the grass. And he says, well, actually, not exactly. We're grass intolerant.
It's like when they die, they become the grass, and we eat the grass, right? Not exactly. We can't digest grass. We're grass intolerant.
It's a good line. So again, so our new characters, thankfully far and few between, because again, we don't want to reinvent the wheel too much. We have two characters that naturally fit into what we're doing if we're kind of seeing things from Timon's, slice of the Lion King pie chart. We have
slice of the circle of life.
There you go.
Yep.
We got we got Ma, and we got Uncle Max, played by Julie Kavner, and the wonderful, dearly missed Jerry Stiller.
Oh, yeah. Jerry Stiller was a great.
He was, dear God, was he?
I feel like Jerry Stiller just adds like. Sorry, Eli, go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's not forget that Jerry is the father of Ben Stiller.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. But I feel like Jerry Stiller just adds such a layer of class and like legitimacy to this movie. I feel like him being in it is kind of like, yeah, like that's sort of one of the things that I'm talking about when it comes to like this could have been released in theaters, just because the cast that they get is like you said, it's like they bring back almost all of the people from the original, which isn't a small feat.
Really only missing one is Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
Right, but Zazu's barely in the movie anyways.
And we're also missing James Earl Jones as Mufasa.
Well,
he doesn't need to say anything though.
Well, Mufasa also doesn't speak in the movie.
I mean, if they wanted Mufasa to talk,
if they wanted him to talk, they probably would have gotten him, but they didn't.
I mean, I think the whole thing is that it's all from Timon's perspective, so it would have been kind of I don't know. Anyways, like he can't directly interact with Mufasa, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Timon's mother is a great character. She's very
yes.
Nice design.
Julie Kavner's a thing for voicing moms, apparently.
Well, yeah.
And I do want to give Julie Kavner credit. Like she definitely does still sound like Marge Simpson. But I feel like she's trying to do something a little different. You know what I mean? I feel like this character.
Marge Simpson.
Well, it's not.
Yeah. I feel like her cadence is always going to have that Marge quality to it. But I feel like she's kind of like this character is a little bit more rough around the edges.
And her voice isn't nearly as raspy.
I mean, here's what I really like about it. Like it's kind of like Julie Kavner from Awakenings, which is like one of her best things she's ever done.
Yeah. And
from what?
Awakenings, the movie Awakenings.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to see that.
Yeah, I haven't.
Anyways.
Seen that. Also, if I may, fun fact, and as of 2020, as of this year, Lion King 1.5 is the only other piece of like voice work that Julia Kavner has done. And just very quickly, since we're talking about Julie Kavner and Marge Simpson, just a quick mentioning. I don't know if you guys know this because we recently lost the Latin dub voice of Marge Simpson.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thought I'd throw that out. That's all.
Uh-huh.
And also very quickly, because I wanted to mention this, because I agree that this should have gotten a theatrical release because, well, best example. I mean, yes, it has a great voice cast with Jerry Stiller and Julia Kavner, but also the fact that we have the fourth wall breaking, Timon and Pumbaa watching the movie and pausing the film. That's another example.
Oh yeah.
It would have worked really well for a theater setting.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should probably touch on that framing device a little bit, by the way. Y'all got any thoughts on that?
And how it just begins with like an off version of like the beginning of the Circle of Life, when then we hear Timon like singing his own mock version over it.
What's on the menu? Iconic. Dare I say, just as iconic as the actual Circle of Life opening.
not as iconic, but iconic in a different.
No, I know. I'm kidding.
I know.
A fun framing device that complements the Disney direct-to-video, and it splices it, and it really spices things up in in a way that it's acknowledging that we're going to take a self-aware tone. We're not the big leagues. Like, yeah, we know we're Disney Toon Animation. We're not really, we're not the feature animation division, but we're going to give it our best shot. We're going to make this fun. We're not going to try and make you forget the first one, because we're going to remind you about the first one at every turn. But here are some fun asides that you could have in animation that hopefully will look like it could have been spliced in there.
It's like it's always Well, enough of that. And then they just fast forwarding to the part where they get into the movie.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like Diggah Tunnah is a really good mission statement about the ambitions of this movie. Like you said, Dragon, I feel like that song kind of amplifies this is going to be a little sillier than than the first movie. Like, instead of the circle of life and legitimate African language vocals and stuff, we're just gonna have Diggah Tunnah, Diggah Tunnah. We're just kind of lampoon that. But I feel like it does set a tone. I feel like it does kind of set up even though this is going to be a lampoon of the first movie, we're still going to give it our all. It's still going to be a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and plus it does highlight the struggles that the meerkats are facing. Basically, we need to survive and make sure nobody gets eaten by hyenas. And then, of course, at the end, we meet Ma with that and Max is like, we haven't seen Timon anywhere. And of course, the skylight incident.
I'm gonna build a skylight in the tunnel. Just
it's an idea.
Yep.
It's Z&K does bring up. I like the fact that they still use African vocals, and suddenly in the background chorus. Yeah, it is a nice touch.
I do really.
Are there African vocals in Diggah Tunnah?
Not in Diggah Tunnah. I think he's just meaning in general.
Oh, in general, yeah, for sure.
I think one of the biggest the biggest arrows in the quiver, one of the biggest assists that they have on this movie is the fact that we have kind of the tone of the Timon and Pumbaa show,
but not nearly as wacky.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, though. But I like that's kind of what we have with that framing device, which just sets the tone. So if we do go a little off the reservation, like we do later, and we have Timon and Pumbaa with doing a hip hop thing for very briefly, during. So we can only get away with that if we're factoring that in, because again, that show was full of anachronisms. Just because it was
that show is canon to the Lion King mythology, sir, and how dare you say otherwise?
It's all the different versions of Quint are canon too.
Oh God! All right.
Anyway,
there are episodes that aren't even canon to each other in that show.
Yeah, I know, Jacob. I know.
And I was about to ask, Tiki, you really could, in your opinion, you consider the Timon and Pumbaa show canon?
I think you.
No, absolutely not. It's a freaking cartoon. I love it. That's why I love it.
It sounded like you considered it for yourself canon, but okay.
No, he's just being a wiseacre.
It's a sarcasm.
I know. And besides, there's a lot of Looney Tunes stuff going on in the Timon and Pumbaa show.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
So, the hallmarks of Timon and Pumbaa, though, we got the bug eating, we got Timon stealing Pumbaa's ideas, and we have the educational component of Pumbaa's a lot smarter than anyone gives him credit for.
Yeah, but basically it's the classic I don't even know where my train of thought was going there. I was I'm glad I thought of that one.
Well, yeah, basically, Jacob, the dynamic is essentially it's essentially the same dynamic as in Muppets Most Wanted, where it's the guy, the head guy is getting all the credit, but it's really the sidekick that's
basically doing all the work.
Right. I don't know why we're both stumbling over our words to describe that. I'm sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, Constantine got all the credit.
Too long.
Constantine got all the credit while Dominic did all the work.
Yeah, that's an example.
But yeah, but as you were saying, Dragon.
All right, let's see. So Diggah Tunnah, or I just keep calling it Diggah Tunnel, but I guess you're right. It's kind of Diggah Tunnel.
No, it is Diggah Tunnah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so of course, catchy musical. We see again just the low status of the meerkat in the circle of life, and how they're just they're very much prey for the hyena. So we give Timon sentry duty, just to kind of he's kind of looked at like Flick from A Bug's Life. So like we're gonna give him a chance here. Okay, sentry duty, and you guessed it, it goes south. Uncle Max is almost eaten by hyenas. Big theme of a trio of outcasts in this movie. So we have Timon. We see him getting excommunicated, essentially. Not deliberately kicked out, but it's very much, you know what, I'm going to find something, Mom. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to find something.
And gotta admit, the song that he sings is a really good one, too.
Sure.
And I also like that song is diegetic to the actual movie.
Scurry, sniff, flinch!
Scurry.
Put that on the poster. So yeah, we have this beautiful goodbye to his mother, which is then just undercut with this hilarious comedy of like, Mom!
All right, Ma!
I can't hear you!
And actually, I remember one time turning up the volume to hear what she was saying. And I mean, she was like saying, I said blah, blah, blah. Just, yeah.
Mhm.
So I go that way.
Goodbye, Ma! And of course, earlier, one of my favorite lines is like, everything the light touches belongs to someone else.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
I love that.
I feel like that's the kind of humor, like when I was watching this movie for the first time as a jaded 13-year-old, that's the kind of humor I could really get behind. It's like I didn't like the fart jokes. I was going into this movie basically expecting it to be wall-to-wall fart jokes, and thankfully it's not. I feel like the fart jokes they do have go big, but they don't have that many of them. And honestly, the one at the end genuinely kind of cracks me up, the way they execute it and the timing of when they cut to credits. But we'll get there when we get there. But no, it's just genuine like wit about the first movie and kind of like playing around with the lore of the first movie. And I don't know. I just feel like it's a very fresh take on a satire, and it's one of those things that I kind of feel like you could only get away with in the Eisner era. And that's one of the things I really miss about the Eisner era, is that Eisner wasn't afraid to take the piss out of his own stuff.
I do love that we call out the reason Timon kind of like the whole hyena thing backfired is like you get caught breaking out in the song.
It's like,
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, Dragon. That's what I was saying about the diegeticness of it all. It's very much like in canon that he is performing an elaborate musical number, and that's why the bad things happened.
There's something really funny too with just our framing device. I love how we have like the interruption gags, just like they're like Pumbaa sits on the remote. They're pausing the movie to get snacks. Like Timon's picking his nose.
It's like, oh yeah, it's like while Max is being chased, it changes to a shopping jet. Legitimately, the first time I think I watched this was like when it was airing on TV or something, or maybe I was watching it at somewhere else, and I was like, wait a minute, what happened to the TV?
That's funny. Really quick aside about the Timon picking his nose thing. He's of course he's singing "It's a Small World," which is a callback to Zazu, of course. But Nathan Lane's delivery. I love Nathan Lane's delivery where he's like, everybody, like just the everybody cracks me up like midway through that. Like
it's more like everybody.
Everybody.
It really feels like that was probably improvised, because you know that sometimes Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, they'll do improv.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's like, were you just picking your nose?
I had an itch on the inside.
Oh God. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get what do we think of Rafiki's role in this movie? Rafiki really is kind of taken down a peg.
I love this. So I love the idea that what we're suggesting here is that Rafiki is just this. He's just this weird, wise monkey looking to give metaphors to anyone who's going to listen, which kind of takes it back like he was this epic mentor, or like this almost hermit figure. Well, not yes.
And to be fair, though, he still does give good advice to Timon in this.
He does be. It makes. I just love the fact.
But Timon is the original Groot. Timon pulls a Groot before Groot. Or I'm sorry. A Drax before Drax. That was dumb of me. I'm glad I caught myself there. But no, seriously, with the whole, he takes things literally.
You used a metaphor on Timon. He takes things literally.
So that was great to see. Timon's mom just like for a change, like hitting Rafiki on the head.
That to me, I honestly think might be the funniest thing in the whole film. Honestly,
that's why Julie Kavner is awesome. So yeah, but here's something importantly though. So again, seriously, Rafiki is the origin for Hakuna Matata. That's kind of big.
Yeah.
Life without worry. Usually Hakuna Matata.
Yeah. And then I do
like that Pumbaa doesn't learn it from Rafiki though. I like that Pumbaa just knows it from his own experiences. I like that kind of connective tissue where Rafiki's not the only one, spreading the advice around.
I still love the. Speaking of which, this is jumping ahead of it, but I love the gag where it's Timon's trying to remember what it was, and Pumbaa's saying all these things that sound like a.
That was also really fun. I'm sure that was improvised.
It's ought to be hotter.
Yeah,
It's ought to be hotter.
I got a lambada.
Oh God.
Oh God.
I think
it's called a shrimp tata. All right. Anyways.
So, I really like the gag where Timon's it's very obvious beyond what you seek. He's looking at Pride Rock, but he's just having a hard time getting there. And it's hard to think with all this music playing.
It's either that slug ate or I'm having an epiphany.
Oh God.
I'm going to the big pointy rock.
There's just nothing funnier than Nathan Lane yelling. I don't know why. It just always works.
I really think Nathan Lane he absolutely just kills it in the comedy department with this movie. I honestly think this is probably his single best Timon performance. I think that's pretty conclusive, I would say. Pretty definitive.
Something else, because when Timon is... just very quickly, when Timon is making his destination and such, trying to find something, and we hear a bit of narration, and so I put my past behind me and such, and I never look back and you think he's got it because he's how far he's walked, and then he just breaks down and mommy. That's Nathan Lane Nathan Lane because he's so it's funny when he is shouting and even crying just as Timon. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then,
all right. So the epic meeting, Warthog and Meerkat.
As he makes his way to the big pointy rock, and then he senses a presence near him.
Yes.
Presence he has not yet felt before. And a scene that almost plays out almost like a horror movie, kind of.
And that,
a little bit. And
that roaring sound we hear.
And he's being chased by this mysterious horned beast.
Yeah, and the noise that it makes.
And then he comes across the horned beast and it starts screaming after he does.
So it's Pumbaa, and it's the beginning of a beautiful acquaintanceship. Initially,
I just love how it seriously just warms my heart, even as a jaded old man that I am. That Pumbaa is just right away, hey, I'm not gonna eat you, little guy.
It's
I don't know. He's just it's just such, like you said, Dragon. It's just absolutely a best friends at first sight kind of thing. It's great.
Although at first it's when they start screaming, it's first impressions are really important. Well, I thought you were Scream. and then yeah, it's Pumbaa's quick to call Timon his friend, but Timon is let's start with acquaintances.
I do like that Timon first is kind of opportunistic about having Pumbaa around in the same way that he is with Simba in the first movie, where he's basically just looking at him as the bodyguard, basically Pumbaa's laying out that, he keeps people away from him. People definitely do not want to be around him.
It's less muscle, is more repellent.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep, but he doesn't understand what the whole like special power. It's pretty powerful, all right.
Yeah.
Doesn't really know what he means up until a few scenes later. But even and which of course leads to the infamous bowing scene. But even then, I still like that scene because despite like all of what Pumbaa said, Timon still doesn't abandon. Like, wow, that's quite cool. Actually, like, what a weapon!
So my only issue with the bowing scene is that I feel like everything else in this movie, as far as like the satire and the lampooning, the lampooning the first movie goes, like it's all pretty much just happen. Like it's basically the characters more or less reacting to the first movie happening around them to a certain extent. I mean, there are some interferences here and there, but the bowing scene is the one time where I really feel like the movie kind of went a step too far into like, okay, like a fart literally caused one of the most majestic and iconic moments in all of animation history. I don't know. That still doesn't really sit well with me. Just if you are looking at this as canon, and let's face it, this movie is much more canon than the actual Timon and Pumbaa animated series is canon.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on that? I'm genuinely curious.
I mean, yeah, I kind of do see where you're coming from on that. Obviously, the original opening of The Lion King is like iconic and like one of the greatest openings, not just animation, but like in cinema history almost. And then at least
right, and I just don't want to think about like that moment when I watched the first movie being caused by this, you know?
I mean,
like, I understand it's a joke. I understand it's not meant to be taken seriously. But and look, it doesn't ruin the movie for me or anything. I still very much like the movie, and I'm not. And unlike when I was a 13-year-old, I wasn't sitting there being like, this is low class. This is below me. I'm cool, hip 13-year-old Tiki.
I mean, like I do kind of see where you're coming. Me personally, like I said, I do see where you're coming from on that. But I mean,
just as far as like the canon event of it all goes, you know.
I kind of separate them. Like maybe like this is kind of like an unreliable narrator kind of thing. Who knows? But
no, right. I get that. Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think it like even retroactively ruins the first scene. Ruins that scene. But yeah, I mean, it's not. It's admittedly it is. I do find it kind of humorous, but it's not my favorite joke in the movie.
Yeah, for me, because I have absolutely no problem with the fart joke and such, and and the thing is, like, not all the animals that attended to Simba's ceremony, not all of them passed out from Pumbaa's fart. So,
well, it's more like the fact that it looked like they passed out because of the gas, but then the others like, oh, they're bowing, we better bow too.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean,
it's fine.
And apparently, just very quickly, apparently I guess it's official for this and something else where apparently Timon and Pumbaa were present at the ceremony of Simba, because the other time they attended was when Stitch took Simba's place.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Hey, that's not Simba.
And then it's Stitch.
Now that is a canon event, my friends.
It's kind of funny that Stitch actually appears in this movie too.
Right.
Aloha.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's not so they find Pride Rock a bit occupied, and like I said, I do find it heartwarming though that like Timon did initially like ride Pumbaa off then and there because of the gas. He's like, well, we can use that to our advantage.
True.
And so they find like a little oasis to the side where they can call home.
Yeah.
The monkey had an eye for real estate.
Oh yeah. Dragon.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I mean, that was like clearly a deleted scene from The Lion King. They just reworked into the movie. You know, like, that was clearly what was supposed to be the whole time. Cut it for time because Elton John had to sing, but no.
Oh God.
No. It's kind of funny when we look at it because it's Eli's right in that it does, it is kind of a domino effect where it starts it, but then the rest of them like, okay, it kind of leads to a bow, and you can look at it one of two ways. Like one, you can look at it in just kind of the meta way, like, yeah, we're kind of milking the cow for a direct video sequel here, so we're kind of maybe diminishing like the majesty of the gravitas of the majesty of the brand a little here. On the flip side, though, if you want to legitimize it, and I guess you could say that, well, it's kind of nice that it's Timon and Pumbaa being there, and incidentally, this character they're going to have this really sweet connection with. They were there, and they initiated this really magical moment, and essentially his christening. This is like they initiated that vow. That was like their way of kind of paying tribute to their friend unknowingly. So you can look at it either way.
Let's say it's old man. Who cares? Not important.
All right.
So speaking of which, that gag, if you notice, they just to show you the budget at work here. They're not moving at all. There's just all those characters on top of Pride Rock. There's frozen solid, not one move.
That's true. It's kind of funny because I feel like both this movie and The Lion King 2 used different ways to cut down on the animation on these like big Pride Rock scenes. So in The Lion King 2, their solution was they were still animated, they were still moving, there were just less animals. They just toned down the actual like number of animals. In this, it's like you're right. It's like there is the same number of animals, but they're not exactly animated. So it's really interesting. I honestly think this looks better than the Simba's Pride approach.
Yeah, kind of. It fills the screen more.
I mean, the only reason
right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's like all the eyes go to the iconic moment. You're seeing, man, Rafiki's just kind of standing there, and this is a big moment for
I just love how casually they toss off the Simba being raised moment. Is just like it's probably not important.
Like, hey, Mufasa, don't you want to emote a little at your son's birth there? Is your son being...
Yes! Sorry.
Look, Sai, how they kneel before the royal son.
Yep.
But you want to say something, Mufasa? No? Okay, we're just going to move on then. All right.
And
So let's talk about the one thing Lex Luthor cares about here. Let's talk about real estate. So
hell yeah,
the quest for real estate. We have like this nice area behind Pride Rock, which really does seem like to answer all their prayers.
That's really what this movie could have been called. This movie really could have just been called The Lion King 1.5: The Quest for Real Estate.
Yep.
Now let's say
Simba's Pride, The Quest for Real Estate. It just flows so naturally.
Technically, Lion King 1.5. Technically, because I meant to also bring this up. They technically, I guess, at times, even I've seen this on its IMDb page.
It's mostly in the UK. I know what you're gonna say.
It was because it's also called Hakuna Matata. Lion King 3.
The Lion King 3, Hakuna Matata. Yeah. Even though it is very clearly not a continuation of The Lion King.
Yeah, just stick with Lion King 1.5 for crying out loud.
It's probably just it might just been like a translation kind of thing, like they.
No, it basically was, Jacob. I think it's
true. Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty much in the UK for the most part, from what I understand.
Apparently, in the UK, they don't have fractions.
Oh yeah, you're right, Dragon. Yeah, it is something like that. It is just like our measurement systems are different.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, like they go into the new place. It seems to be all right, and then they're woken up by a musical number.
Oh my god, we're in the theater district.
Of all people,
okay,
Nathan. Of all people, Nathan Lane's the one like.
That did crack me up. Yes.
We moved to the theater district. Get a load of these guys.
What's really funny about this too is that there is actually a big kind of logic hole in this scene.
In fact, that's a day after, yeah.
Yeah, it's played exactly like the next morning, and it's like, man, Simba grew up fast.
Yeah.
right. Simba is exactly 2 days old in The Lion King. Who would have known?
I mean, that's one part where like people call the canonicity of this thing into question. Is the
You know what, Dragon? Honestly, that is a thing from this movie that I will happily just throw up my arms in the air and say, I don't care.
If you want to be all technical, they would stay in there for a while, but
because let's be honest, the whole second act of this movie, basically the whole quest for real estate of it all, it is definitely like the whole movie is a farce, but this is like a true like farce in the most Mel Brookian sense of the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it really is like no holds barred, just nothing is off the table. We're literally making jokes about the stampede.
Well, again, much like
well,
yeah.
Well, it's more just like they wanted to include both the that scene, the Pride Rock scene and that scene, and then they probably didn't want to justify it's like them Timon and Pumbaa being there for like a couple of years and then moving out.
Right.
Much like Blazing Saddles, we have the title characters in a theater watching themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's see. So
that is a great finale.
Yeah. So anyways, we have like the elephant graveyard. We have the Scar's lair.
It's like something tells you they ain't the traveling company of Riverdance.
So that is honestly probably the single most adult and dark joke in the whole movie, and I applaud Eisner-era Disney for slipping that in, because this is absolutely something that Papa Iger would never approve of. I could never imagine modern day Disney getting away with a joke like this.
You mean Jews and Nazis kind of thing?
Yes, Jacob. I didn't want to spell it out like that, but yes, I mean basically making a Holocaust joke, essentially, and calling out the fact that that Be Prepared is like full-heartedly pulled from Holocaust imagery.
Yeah, and the actors themselves are Jewish.
Right.
Even the nostalgia critic pointed that out one time. The Be Prepared being referenced of the Nazis and such.
Yeah. It's basically based on old Nazi propaganda.
It is like Triumph of the Will, I believe it was called.
Even down to like the old school like yellow lighting and stuff. Anyways, we don't have to talk about that.
It was nothing but Nazi hyenas too. I mean, there was a little bit. Of that.
You really? Oh my God!
They like cats, man. What can I tell you?
And
what this place lacks in water and shade makes up for in searing heat and blinding sunshine.
Home sweet home.
Yeah, and then of course the gorge with the stampede. Literally, they're making a joke like oh, it's just the comedic scene while Simba's father is being murdered.
Right. And you know why I don't mind that is because nothing is happening to Timon and Pumbaa that's actually affecting what's going on with Mufasa. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine if like Timon and Pumbaa like ran into the side of the cliff and the side of the cliff like shakes and that's what causes Mufasa to fall or something like that? You know,
I was thinking something more along the lines of like while it's going on. So like, hey, are you okay?
Oh, God. Okay, that would have been genuinely funny.
Use a hand.
That would have been genuinely funny, I think.
But
isn't
the
that
joke,
his brother?
Oh God!
The joke. I do like the joke we do get. That's like, shall we run for our lives? Oh yes, let's.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all this.
But admittedly, I do like your guys' takes on that.
So all of this leads us to the Oasis, leads us to the very lush, the actual Hakuna Matata, which after a lot of workshopping the name, we get there.
Remember that place I told you about, Timon? It's like forget about your place. Look at this one.
God.
Oh,
you know what though? I like that. Unlike the unlike the Constantine and Dominic bad guy thing, like Constantine is clearly like he knows what he's doing. I feel like Timon is just oblivious to what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Well,
he's just socially unaware.
Yeah, bad G, not bad guy.
Oh shoot! I'm terribly sorry, Dragon. Oh my God! That was terribly offensive of me. I'm so sorry.
Yes. All right.
I didn't want to misname the man, Dragon.
So, before we kind of happen upon Hakuna Matata, we do have this great this great thing of like Pumbaa, he doesn't have a home, and it's just this really nice bonding moment between him and Timon. They're very kind of joined at the hip.
It's like, so you're all alone in this big crazy world?
I love we have the fat jowly sound.
The Disney eyes,
We have
dude.
the Disney eyes, and we have the fat jowly sounds of the pig. It's very Ren and Stimpy-esque.
But it's still.
It is. Oh my god, it totally is in this moment in particular. Yes.
But it still does manage to tug at your heartstrings a little bit.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Some of the best moments in Ren and Stimpy did inexplicably manage to tug at your heartstrings.
Quick aside, okay? Quick aside, we never get to talk about this sort of thing. Ernie Sabella.
Oh yeah.
He was this recurring comedic kind of character on the show The Practice, which of course then led to Boston Legal, which in my opinion is way better. But The Practice, legal drama, and occasionally you have your lighthearted aspects. And basically, Ernie Sabella was this kind of I don't know if ambulance chaser is correct per se, but essentially it seems close. He was basically this sham lawyer who always dragged our poor some of our poor practice guys down with him, or they had to argue against him or with him, and it was this thing where he just caused him nothing but issues. But he's always this lawyer who your heart went out to him and you loved him, and he would say, "Please help me," and then you'd say, "Oh God, worked so badly, so badly."
Oh God.
In ways I can't even tell you here, but it's oh my God. Anyway, but yeah. Point being, just the man knows how to sell. You can't help but love the guy.
Oh yeah. He still does a good job as Pumbaa here. Unlike Nathan Lane or Timon, who's always having different voice actors. He's remained consistent as Pumbaa throughout everything.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
And all right, let's see. So we have Simba. We got to talk about the Simba of it all.
It's first off, karaoke time.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I love it! I love it.
Follow the bouncing bug.
And don't eat it like Pumbaa does.
I mean, this movie just really does take full advantage of the Mystery Science Theater setup of it all. I mean, it really goes ham with it.
You know what I'm thinking? How about a sing-along?
It goes John Ham with it. Not even just
I don't know where the term or how recently the term going ham but I do know that people are saying it, and I'm adopting it. I do like the going ham with it, full ham.
Imagine this. Okay.
Oh God!
It's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jacob. I'm just saying. I feel like more people have been using it recently. It's kind of come back around. All right. Anyways, Dragon, your elaborate drawn ham pitch. Go.
Okay. In a movie theater. It's dark, okay? John Hamm just during all these going ham moments, you have John Hamm holding Pumbaa. So it's ham. It's double the ham. Also, what did John Hamm bring for lunch? Ham sandwich. Triple.
Of course,
ham.
Naturally. Do you think Pumbaa would be offended by that?
As long as I gave him bugs, I think it'd be fine.
All right, fair enough.
He'd be distracting him with he'd give him the giant jumbo bag of bugs while he's eating that ham. While he's eating the ham and just.
Can we also just throw Ponyo into the mix just for fun?
Ham.
Ponyo's ham, and then John Hamm's no, you can't have any.
Ponyo loves ham.
Okay, John Hamm just walks an anime version of John Hamm. Just walks in the frame, and she's a moment of silence, and she just looks him up and down. It's like the man's a mountain of ham, and looks and she's yes, little girl, John Hamm.
Oh, God.
All right, I literally think we've lost viewers in this tangent, so let's get back on track.
Anyway,
I had a lot of fun, Dragon. It was very fun.
Pumbaa sings Pumbaa eats the marker, which is a ladybug.
Oh.
And even Timon of all people is you just can't control yourself.
Sorry.
It's like, one more run won't change our lives.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
They get bundled for buzzards, and that's when they find their adoptive son, and they become Simba's
Non-biological fathers. And also, just because it's Pride Month, let's just shout it out. Timon and Pumbaa, just iconic, non-canon gay dads. I'm not saying they're gay in the movie, but let's face it, they give off that vibe. They're iconic gay dads.
Unintentional gay dads.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's not canon to the movie, but I definitely think you can read their relationship in that way, in kind of like a Bird and Ernie kind of way.
It's a My Two Dads story anyway. You slice it so good.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Regardless, it's really one of the. It's always great seeing them raise Simba, and that was honestly one of the big sells for Lion King 1.5. Just the fact you get to see, like we glazed over it so much, but just seeing there was kind of a paternal thing going on there. That's really sweet.
Like my favorite, one of my favorite jokes in the movie is like the second or third time he takes him across the log. He's like, "We're gonna get old walking across this thing."
It's a good joke.
This movie seriously has so many good freaking fourth wall breaks like that. I love it.
I mean,
it's honestly an embarrassment of riches when it comes to stuff like that.
Honestly, I'll admit that I was very young when I was like only 10 when this movie came out, so admittedly I didn't understand what that joke fully meant. I was like,
"Oh, okay, yeah."
But I was like, but I mean, one of the next few times I was like, "Oh, that's what he meant by that."
Right.
So,
admittedly, it took me like a few seconds to get it the first time I watched it. So,
yeah. Now, sorry. Admittedly, there are. It does seem to me that we might have not had we had some needle drops. I feel to maybe pad out the fact we didn't have a lot of original score on this movie.
like, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, we had jungle. We had this during that scene. As much as I love,
Yeah, Jungle Fever is a little weird. It's a little weird to see that in a Lion King movie. I'll admit that.
Jungle Boogie, and we have the Lion Sleeps Tonight song playing, but we're kind of contrasting them in a weird way.
Okay, hold on, Dragon, hold on. Like Jungle Boogie, I'll give you that. That feels a little out of place, but The Lion Sleeps Tonight will never feel out of place in a Lion King.
I'm not
Come on now.
It's out of place. I'm saying it's just. I'm not saying it's out of place. I'm just saying it feels like we're using songs to pad out the score.
Right.
And speaking of which, I know this is a little bit skipping ahead, but this movie is actually the first time I ever heard the Peter Gunn theme.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay, so the snail eating contest,
which is definitely a stand-in for a drinking contest.
Actually,
yes.
I had something. I wanted to say something about that sequence where Timon is, he's mothering Simba every time waking him up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tiki, do you remember me telling you this?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I had a story to share about that.
Yeah, by all means.
Actually, very quickly, because I want to point this out, or a little earlier, Kogias commented saying this. Imagine if there was a Frozen 1.5 that followed the Duke of Wesselton for 70 minutes.
Oh my god. I don't know if the Duke of Wesselton would be the best character to do that with, but honestly, I think the character to do that with would probably be Oaken. Thank you, Dragon. No, Oaken.
Yoo-hoo, big summer blowout.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
That guy's got an interesting life.
And technically, we technically kind of got something like that with Olaf with one short film. So
True.
Okay, so what I was gonna say was that sequence where because parenthood and constantly Simba is waking up to moan. When I remember because and my mom, because when we were watching that, because she told me this, that she almost lost it when that one shot with Timon, the blood vessels he's just about because
right
because point being, because of her almost losing it at that shot, because she can relate to Timon because I did the same thing like that to my mom. So she can
Oh,
relate.
God.
She can relate to Timon.
What have you got against the cousin of a good night's sleep, huh?
Oh, God.
Exactly.
You know, you're just going to have to go again in like 3 hours, right?
So yeah, I was when I was little, I did that to my mom, and so yeah, because she can relate to Timon, and that's why, because she completely almost lost it when that one shot of just Timon that was funny.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. Where are we going to go next?
The snail slurping.
Yeah, the snail.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Which I mentioned earlier was definitely a stand-in for like a shot drinking contest.
So, Teen Simba. I always loved Teen Simba's design. I love the idea of like the little tuft of hair that's not like the full lion's mane. It's a good look.
He's definitely teased.
Yeah, it's like we get a little tease of that design in the log montage, but it's nice that we get to spend just a little bit of time with it in this movie.
Yeah.
Not very long, but yeah, we do get to see he has like the classic teenage attitude of that he would have.
Right.
Like,
you two are my real dads.
I mean, heck, he even calls. He might have been like being half sarcastic, but he even did call Timon Pops.
Yeah. Right.
Which again is really sweet that again these guys, they're friends and they're all outcast, which is kind of what bonds them together. But in this found family, these guys did raise him, they did save him, and again, it's while still a comedy, Simba did lose his father, and he was at a very low point when he met these guys, and I think that means something to him. I think he is.
I mean, I feel like one of the reasons. I'm sorry, Dragon. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying I think he is saying a lot of that. Just he's kind of taking some pokes at him, but I think there is some sincerity there. I think he does kind of view them like father figures.
I mean, they're absolutely his father figures. Like, I mean, absolutely.
I think one of the reasons why Timon and Pumbaa are as popular as they are, and they work so well in the context of the movie that they're in, is specifically because of the timing of when they come in. Like, they come in exactly when we need comic relief. Like, they come in, it's kind of funny how the low of lows in this movie really does take place in, like, the end of the first act, essentially. But they really do just kind of just bring this breath of fresh air, this energy to it.
I mean,
it's honestly just like I feel like it's just kind of just the perfect textbook definition of how to effectively use comic relief characters in the purest sense of the word.
I mean, technically, that was pretty much the intention. I was watching bonus features or listening to commentary. That was their intention. They intentionally structured it that way in a very Shakespearean manner. The one moment it's dark and tragic, and the next moment you're laughing your ass off.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, pardon my French, but that was pretty much.
No, can I just say Shakespeare is underratedly funny? Genuinely.
I mean, it is
because people look at Shakespeare as the tragedy guy, and he is that. But man, the dude has a wit to him. I don't know. Anyways,
I mean, the thing is, Shakespeare loved raunchy humor.
Right.
And as far as back then goes, he was he loved raunchy and dirty humor.
Back then, his plays were essentially the Apatow comedies of their day. No, I'm kidding about that. But
I mean, technically, that's not far off.
right.
That's the thing. They're not. That's not entirely to an accurate. I mean, we see they're this highbrow entertainment today, but back then it was just common folk entertainment.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, all right. This is not technically a Shakespeare podcast, although Lion King is very much Shakespeare adjacent.
Yep.
Okay. Where to next? Should we go to the Nala stuff?
Yeah, so I love the Nala thing because it's like taking pot shots at my least favorite part of the Lion King, and I love it.
Totally.
It's we thought this could go on forever. What? Only one thing we didn't count on. Nala shows up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, because any quick mentioning on the jacuzzi part.
It's definitely a fart joke I could do without, but it's whatever.
I mean, it was in the trailers. I mean, if you're gonna, I don't know, that's kind of like
yeah, I know. It was in the trailers. It was one of the gags in the trailers that made me think this movie was just going to be wall-to-wall fart jokes.
Honestly, I wish in hindsight they kept it only in the trailer and they didn't put it in the actual movie, because I think it works, but it's just kind of like we're just throwing one in there versus okay, this is kind of a thing to establish the tone, but yeah, it's.
I think I see. I totally get where you're going with this, Dragon. I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, I have no problem with it being in the movie. And besides, this isn't the first time that something like this has happened, where there's something in the trailer that, you know what, it totally works in the trailer, and yet it's still in the movie. And for me, I don't make a huge complaint on that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, but yeah, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? I mean, the only thing that's worse than Can You Feel the Love Tonight in the actual movie is the live-action remake, where they didn't even bother to get the lighting right, and it's just Can You Feel the Love in the mid-afternoon. It's ridiculous. That's honestly one of the single most baffling decisions that they made in that entire cluster F of a movie. Anyways, I digress. I'm sorry.
Well, what did you expect the live-action film to specifically do, huh?
Maybe actually film that song at night, Eli? Maybe do that. Anyways,
I mean, I don't know, because it was still daytime when Nala showed up. I just, but it's just how.
Yeah, they could have done a montage. It's not important.
Yeah.
Let's see. So yeah, Dragon, you want to talk specifically about the parody elements of the song here?
Well, again, I love that we're just interrupting the. It's just at every turn we're seeing trying to foil this.
And like I said, this is the first time I ever heard the Peter Gunn theme, which is now one of my favorite pieces of music.
And
now one of my favorite pieces of music.
And the Peter Gunn theme actually made its way to another Disney direct-to-DVD sequel, which actually being Stitch the movie. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Another underrated one of those.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Honestly, all the Lilo and Stitch continuations are really solid.
Me too.
Everyone's always coming down on Stitch Has a Glitch. I really like Stitch Has a Glitch.
I only have one problem with Stitch Has a Glitch, and that is why didn't Lilo notice this from the beginning?
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I love Jumba and Pleakley in that movie, and just the stakes. I love the stakes of that film. Is David Ogden. Okay, sorry, I know we're getting off base. We're gonna circle back. David Ogden Stiers, what he does in that movie is just wonderful, because he's just conveying so much. Like, there's a lot of pathos in the realization that his creation that he's gonna have this arc with is going to die, and oh my god, he plays it so well.
Yeah. So yeah, Jumba and Pleakley, they noticed this from the beginning, but not even Lilo. Like, what?
Yeah.
What is up with that?
Okay.
I mean, you would think that they just like by default listen to Jumba and Pleakley when it comes to stuff like this, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so Timon. Okay, so let's see. So also, just the fact that now is just trying to. We keep checking in during the segment to see all these failed attempts at stopping, like the big lull of the movie. It's not going well. And
no,
they can't fight the lion hormones, but he eventually sees the light. Oh man, that storm's coming. No, it's Mufasa. It's the ghost of Mufasa. Anyway, so Nala eventually comes back and basically has to recap the whole movie to him a few times.
And Nala once again being voiced by Maura Kelly.
Yeah.
Just for that one scene.
That is kind of cool that they got her back for one scene. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of the same goes for Matthew Broderick. I mean, he didn't have that much speaking voice lines as Simba. Kind of
not really.
I think the same goes for the hyenas, and yeah.
Well, the hyenas are the ones that caught me off guard, because I actually met Cheech Marin a couple years ago and had him sign my Lion King shirt. So seeing Cheech Marin get new Lion King dialogue was definitely kind of exciting with that context.
And I met Jim Cummings back in 2021, and Yeah, because meeting the voice of Ed, and I got to do an impression for him. I did Ray the Firefly, and then he at one point did Tigger, and then I did Tigger back to him. So
Ooh.
Nice.
Yep.
I think I would love to meet him.
Yeah. He was a great guy. He was a great guy to meet. Yeah.
No one ever talks about this. Moira Kelly is really good in Chaplin.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll throw that out there. Okay.
I really think Chaplin and Lion King are two of her best known works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I personally don't know her from anything else.
Me neither. Not that much.
What do you call a hyena with half a brain? Gifted. and even Ed laughs at it.
Yeah.
Well, ZNK, I think he did. This was always a really good line, well delivered by Nathan Lane. Sarcasm's a foreign language to you, isn't it?
Well, that looked like a dream. It did. Sarcasm's a foreign language to you, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. All right, just before we go into Quotapalooza here, just to, again, go through like what happens in the movie.
This movie's just very quotable.
It is very quotable.
It is.
Of course it's
Yeah.
quotable. Nathan Lane's in this movie. Any movie with Nathan Lane, by definition, is a quotable film.
Oh yeah.
I'll raise you Bo's afraid, Dragon. Nothing to say to that. Checkmate. All right.
I'm sorry. Is he the lead character in Beau is Afraid? Is he like a
No.
lead character in Beau is Afraid? Is he even like the second lead character?
He's maybe like the fourth build.
Doesn't count.
Okay, fair enough.
Birdcage, quotable. Mouse Hunt, quotable.
Oh God.
Beau is Afraid. All right.
I'm
Fair enough.
I'm honestly surprised Pixar hasn't cast him in anything yet.
I'm sure they probably wanted to, but you know. Anyway, so Timon and Pumbaa, admittedly, we kind of separate them in a kind of a manufactured low of lows, but it is short-lived.
Yeah.
Even parroting like the running scene.
Yep.
I do think that's genuinely funny, and also like funny enough, I think it's some of the best looking animation in the whole movie. Like it almost looks like it's on the same level of quality as the scene that it's parodying. Just obviously it's Pumbaa instead of Simba.
It's the fact that he was intentionally running that slow.
Like I know my friend needs me, but I must wait for go slow in case Timon comes.
Yeah, and even as Pumbaa stated, I was giving you time to catch up.
Like he knew Timon would come.
Yeah.
But this is where legends are born. Luau.
And yeah, they just cut to the chase.
Literally.
Oh yeah.
I think
So,
I guess maybe they're. I don't mean to cut you off, but I guess maybe they're just embarrassed by it.
Mm-hmm.
The hula dance.
And then,
Well, yeah, I think that's the implication.
Well, Pumbaa's essentially done the equivalent of pig blackface, so you know, yeah.
right. Oh my
He
God.
did the apple move. He did the most stereotypical pig gag you could ever do. You know,
Absolutely.
He has the apple.
and Timon.
You should be ashamed.
And Timon's doing hula.
It's just you have John Hamm just like nodding and go Pumbaa.
And
Yes, full am.
And then John Hamm takes a bite of an apple. He's completely oblivious to what he's just done.
I still remember the version in the play was like, what we do, dress as student and do the Charleston, which I think would have been, which I think is pretty funny.
yeah, and if only the live action could have done the hula. But for me, I don't have a problem with them like almost about to do their parody of Be Our Guest, because that's kind of something that Timon and Pumbaa would technically do.
It is. That was actually one of the Timon and Pumbaa. Let's face it, they are like probably the singular thing in The Lion King 2019 that actually kind of works. Like it's definitely not as good as this Timon and Pumbaa. It's not my Timon and Pumbaa, but they're at the very least watchable. Unlike most of the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that the live action Lion King still got Timon and Pumbaa right, even though because the live action Timon and Pumbaa could never top off the Timon and Pumbaa that we know so well and love.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so one of the funniest jokes. So basically, everyone's come back. We have the big Timon redeeming himself we're gonna dig a tunnel to stop the hyenas and ultimately burning. Ultimately, if you want to look at it this way, Timon and Pumbaa, Timon specifically, is responsible for killing Scar just completely by accident.
No, totally.
They're gonna send
That
those
is
hyenas down.
that's honestly one of the like kind of status quo shifts in this movie that I do appreciate because they don't really spell it out. They give you just enough information, like the hyenas go down to the bottom level of Pride
And they're
Rock,
hungry.
and then you see Scar falling, and that's it. You know, it's like if you know, you know.
Timon murdered Scar.
And not to mention all the distractions they did to try and.
That's what I was gonna get. So one of the funniest jokes in the movie still cracks me up to this day. But every time I think of like just one of my go-to scenes from Lion King 1.5 is like when Timon proposes.
Yes.
Nathan Lane just going for broke.
And of course, Pumbaa's like, "Can I be your best man?"
Just
and
expression, the jaw-dropped reaction.
Yes. and then shit, like you even see like Shenzi kind of twitching her eye, but then of course her response is, "I don't think so."
If only Timon's mother could have been there.
I love the delivery that Timon gives, like Shenzi, blah blah blah, and then how he says, becoming my bride. Just in that like deep voice, that's so funny.
I don't know how Lane does it. He just does
because he's Nathan Lane.
Well, yeah.
We don't need any other explanation.
I guess not.
The explanation is he's Nathan Lane. That's all you need.
So Timon redeems himself. He jumps through there. He actually causes the collapse of the tunnel and basically kills Scar, and then gets rid of the hyenas. Collapsing
the tunnel actually came in handy.
Exactly, it's a payoff, and even Uncle Max is kind of touched by this, and he's very proud of Timon.
Although Uncle Max is weirded out by the skirt.
He was wearing a dress.
He was wearing a dress.
Something
seems different about Timon. You think he's wearing a dress?
and actually, because I do want to mention this because, when they go down that tunnel, isn't that another thing that's problematic as well? Because when they go down the tunnel and then Scar being thrown off, then we see the hyenas confronting Scar. Anything on that?
No, Dragon did bring that up, and I honestly think it's really funny. I think it's really funny just specifically because of how subtle it is. It's like you don't need it spelled out for you. It's like if you know what happens to Scar, then you know what the scene is laying out. But it's not like you actually see Scar going, getting killed or anything. You just you see the hyenas going down underneath Pride Rock, and you see Scar falling, and it's 2 + 2. I really like how subtle that is.
Does anyone still have that apple? Let's throw it in Scar's mouth, and then.
And the thing is
it'll be like Canadian bacon.
And you see, also another thing is that Shenzi Bonsai Ned did pop up at one point when Scar was trying to make an excuse and saying, the hyenas who are the real enemy, it was their fault because they were there while. The hyenas, it's confusing. But I don't want to make a big deal about it. But also, I guess we are also to assume that, after they went down that tunnel, they just popped out of the tunnel and they're perfectly okay in them confronting Scar. So
yeah. That's pretty much it.
Again, I kind of chalk it up to an I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Again, I don't want to make a huge deal about it.
All right, so we reached the end of things. It's we have this nice moment where Timon and Pumbaa get kind of like the nod of acceptance from Simba. Couldn't done without you guys, and that's our boy.
It's walking up, taking his place as king. That's our boy.
Again, something really nice about that scene. It's Simba's non-biological father. It's just they were there.
Oh yeah.
His mom.
They're proud of their boy.
Proud of their boy or pride. Oh, never mind. Just
Well, I mean,
I was thinking like Pride Rock, but
I know.
I just stick with Proud of Your Boy. Anyway, the point being, yeah, they're very pleased with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Hakuna Matata. We returned to Hakuna Matata, and this is really sweet. Timon brought his mom and all the meerkats.
and
from the
and of course,
colony.
and of all things, Uncle Max is teaching yoga.
Yeah,
Or
it's only one thing that would have made it better.
yeah.
Uncle Max said, "Serenity now!"
Oh God.
And then of course the reprise of Diggah Tunnah and like singing in praises of Timon.
Yep.
And then we have the real ending.
Yep.
But it's like, that's the thing about endings, Pumbaa. They come at the end.
Can we watch it again, Pumbaa? We just finished it. Maybe tomorrow.
But Ma and Uncle Max didn't get to see it, so it's like, hey, we're gonna rewind it, but
It's
they're
like-
not alone.
It's like, you didn't tell me you're watching the movie. I want to watch too.
Yeah.
Simba
And-
wants in. Rafiki wants in.
Which ZNK was a. Any story worth telling is worth telling twice.
Yeah, I was gonna point that out.
You know what? Another line of Rafiki's that I really appreciate is Timon asking him, like, "Did you hear me singing that musical number back there?" And then Rafiki's like, "I did not have the pleasure." Like, God, Dragon, tell me that is not good old fashioned Nick Ford pleasantries right there.
It is. He's not coming down on him. He's like, I didn't have the pleasure, but
Right, exactly.
And then not only does it bring the other members from the Lion King, but pretty much almost every other member from the Disney animated canon up to that point.
Yep, circa
Yeah.
2004.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for the longest time, essentially was kind of the cutoff. So pretty much, yeah.
As in, including, like, as I mentioned earlier, Stitch coming back for it.
Yeah,
And even, like, ruffling Donald Duck's feathers.
Yep.
Even Brer Bear is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had let's see, Peter Pan, The Lost Boys, Tinkerbell. Again, where's just a whole bunch? We'd be here all day. But,
Baloo and Mowgli, the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
There's
imagine the cover charge on that one.
and there's Genie, there's Beast, and I think Belle was in there, and
A very silent genie, I will point out.
Yeah. Well, this is after he mended fences, though, so he's probably...
No, I know, but still, they didn't want to pay him.
Oh, of course they didn't want to pay him.
They would have to pay him.
Disney hates paying Robin Williams. We've learned this.
Yeah, exactly. We've established this.
It's
like
pay him in fine art.
Well, the thing is, they probably would have to pay him the movie's budget to get him to do a one line.
Yep.
Right.
So basically, all that happened.
No, here's the thing. They reached out to Robin Williams, and he basically he got triggered one day. He said, like, okay, so Julie Kavner's in this. It's like, oh, wait a minute, is Dan Castellaneta's in this movie? He's like, no, Rob, he's not in this movie. He's like, no, I'm out of here.
Oh God, I love it. I love it. Yes, yes.
No.
Simpsons cast members, you say?
And then,
I was born at night, but not last night. I'm out of here.
Oh God.
shall we, Timon? Hakuna Matata. And of course, Timon, I still don't do so well in crowds.
Yep.
Ends on an implied fart joke.
You know what? I think that is a classy fart joke, and I do really appreciate the fact that we cut to credits right before the actual flatulence happens. I think that's a classy move.
It is. That is a classy move.
I still don't do so well in crowds. Just the way he says that. God. We're all credits.
All right.
And
Wait, Tiki, this whole time you said you don't like credits. Is this what you've been secretly trying to tell us?
Oh my God, Dragon! Oh Jesus! I don't like crowds, Dragon, but I will put up with crowds.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we'll be sure to bring air fresheners.
I would like to point this out because I don't know if you guys realize this, but there are a lot of hidden Mickeys in Lion King 1.5.
Yeah, one of the bonus games on the DVD was finding them all.
That's right. And
Oh
even,
yeah. Oh man, I remember that. Oh god.
Well, one of
And
them is literally Mickey in shadow. So
exactly. Yeah, he
And
counts.
the only, I mean, I remember a lot of it. The only other one I remember is like at the beginning when they pause with the hyenas and they're scared, like during the rewind, you can actually see like the hidden Mickey in the steam. Apparently, according to ZNK, 19.
Yeah, well, I thought it was 23, but okay.
Oh, good. Which includes the actual Mickey at the end.
Yep. That of course.
Not really. That Mickey isn't really hidden. It's like, okay, here's a freebie for you.
Hey, we don't see his face. We don't see his face. That counts.
It's like, gee, who could that possibly be?
Yeah, I remember catching a few in the movie.
Yeah.
And speaking of something like that, even like on disc 2, the bonus features, because like one of the other games, like on disc 2, because like figure out who the guests are that Timon invited. If you guys know that game.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware of that one.
Yeah, that yeah. So that's that for example. And
Okay, well, I guess we should just go ahead and get to final thoughts, guys.
Oh yeah. So who wants to go first?
Dragon. SpongeBob.
Dragon, go first for your closing thoughts.
All right. Yeah. So again, Lion King 1.5, just a fun. It really is a fun way to look back on the Lion King in a way that's just not like the way it's been talked to death a million times. Like, oh, look at the epic wide shots. Look at look at how cool James Earl Jones is. Like we know this already, but it's the fact of like, hey, let's look at it. Let's look at this kind of this franchise spawning just kind of like this one of the top tier Disney movies from an irreverent point of view, which was just so much fun and still is like it's harmless, it's funny, it features like the breakout kind of comedic sidekicks, which is kind of a patented Disney formula. So there's a lot of good in this one, and there's a lot of just like it was the goodwill of the Disney direct-to-video sequel, and honestly, what it should have been the whole time, just like a fun way of kind of re-examining the movies without forcing and we gotta see what happens next. We gotta make that money. If we're gonna make that money, it's like this thing feels like we've waited 10 years and we're gonna do this versus like let's just churn it out like now.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's fondly remembered.
All right, Eli.
yeah, because my final thoughts on the Lion King 1.5. Yeah, just man, just so many fond memories when watching this movie, and having good laughs, and remembering and quoting the lines, and with good animation and the music, and and also songs incorporated to this movie from Jungle Boogie and so on, and and again, just like the memories I've had with the DVD, and like from disc 1 to disc 2, and overall, Lion King 1.5 is definitely, and seems as though, one of the top best and really good direct to Disney video / DVD sequels, and technically still, because Lion King 1.5 being considered a side sequel, midquel, etc. Just I still enjoy Lion King 1.5. I mean, it's probably one of my favorites, right next to the first Lion King. Those are my two favorite Lion King films. I'm always gonna love the Lion King 1.5, and Timon and Pumbaa being one of my favorite characters of the Lion King franchise, and the fact that they got their own movie, and how much people loved those characters, and with what was going on during throughout the Lion King, and where those two characters were. Yeah, it was great. It was so great. Lion King 1.5, a memorable and really good Disney direct-to-DVD/video sequel. Definitely.
All right, Jacob, final thoughts?
All right. Like I said before, big fan of The Lion King, big fan of Timon and Pumbaa. Being back then was definitely very appealing to me. And it still honestly amazes me how well this movie held up even after 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like this movie, I mean, it still holds up a lot. Like a lot of the, again with Tiki, like some of the references and jokes, I appreciate sometimes someone even more as an adult. It's like, oh, it's like, the funny thing is, as a kid, you're kind of entertained by like the endings, but like as you get older,
As a kid, I absolutely would not have gotten the river dance joke, for example.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, and then you grow up and you're like, oh, but a lot of actually clever humor in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But even outside of the cleverness, it's like still a fun adventure with these two lovable characters. But it also manages to make sure they don't overstay their welcome, providing a good adventure with them. And it's always nice. And this is technically so I'd say it's a very fun watch, and probably, like I said, probably my personal favorite of the direct-to-video films.
Yeah, so obviously I am going to give every one of the direct-to-video films at least their due. I am going to go through and rewatch all of them and rank them for the great Disney Toon Ranking podcast. So I can't definitively say that this is my favorite, but it's definitely, I would be shocked if this wasn't at least in my top 5, if not top 3. I mean, it's very top tier. I think just at that point, like it's pretty late into the run of these types of movies. And like Dragon said, the mix of there was a reason to do this for the 10th anniversary. It wasn't just like, hey, let's churn out, Fox and the Hound 2 or something like that, And the animation quality is just really impressive. I think they really go for it with the fourth wall breaks. And yet, the presence of folks like Jerry Stiller, Julie Kavner, and a lot of the original cast, it really kind of gives it an air of legitimacy that not a lot of these other Disney Toon sequels have. So, yeah, definitely a treat revisiting this after so many years. All right. Jacob, do you want to shout out all the people in the comments and any other comments that you might want to shout out to?
Well, we have Z and K. Thank you, Z and K. But first time I found that game was the first time I found out that Fantasia Hippo's name was Hyacinth.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of the later comments were just Z and K. We also had Code Gias. Thank you.
And Keeper Colby.
Keeper Colby. We have Claude.
Ahoy, everyone.
Sorry.
Mutale. And so thank you all for joining us this evening.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you all. It's been a blast. Thank you, Eli, for being our guest this evening.
Anytime. It was my pleasure.
All right. And if we all podcast tonight, I'm done. Have a good night, everyone.
Hakuna Matata.